Okay, hi, good morning. I'm Phil Moses. I'm with CADRE, the national, oh, you closed something on me.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, let's see if we can get it back up.
I'm sorry.
There we are, we're good. So I'm with CADRE, the National Center on Dispute Resolution and Special Education. There we are, that's our homepage. A couple quick things about CADRE. Our primary audience are state education agencies, and in particular their dispute resolution system, procedural safeguard system, and then the network of parent centers that you're all involved with. And then we have sort of secondary audiences, etc. When families contact us with an individual situation, a situation involving their child or their children, we provide very limited assistance. That's not what we're funded to do. It's a little frustrating for them sometimes because they call and say, I have a dispute. Aren't you the dispute center? You know, and but that's we don't have the capacity to get involved and try to resolve individual situations. We refer them to you and other resources in their state's mediation system, etc. So it's really important to us that you have resources that can be helpful to you. So actually what I want you to do is grab a scratched piece of paper right now and a pen, and or however you can also just remember it in your head too. You don't necessarily have to write it down. So I just want you, close your eyes if you want. Just think of one resource you wish you had. One resource you wish you had to help families who are having a dispute or having a problem, a conflict with the school system. One resource you wish you had that would be helpful to you and to them. And go ahead and write it down. You can put more than one if you want as well. I just wanted to get a quick sense of kind of some of the things you wish you had. So before I ask about that, out of curiosity, how many of you have been to the CADRE website at any point? So most of you. And how many of you who've been there have been there in the last, say, 3 or 4 months? Okay, or last month. Okay, great. So that gives me a sense of kind of who's been and how often, perhaps. Okay, so maybe just few of you share what you wrote down, resource. Yeah.
Just more information and or resources of who could do facilitated IEPs.
Okay,
Mediation, but
okay, more information about facilitated IEPs. Okay. An informal dispute resolution toolkit.
That group, families, or teachers, administrators get into a process that they could use with the PPI prior to facilitating.
What would be in that toolkit? What kind of tools? Just a couple examples.
Videos of things that people did in the IEP process to get focused on the child instead of their personal agendas. Videos showing power communication tips or questions that you can ask in an IEP process to kind of get things. A live chat window that you could open up with your state PPI. To get on the resolution flag.
Okay.
I'd like some type of tutorial about here's your issue, where does it fall into the IEP? Sometimes just trying to walk the parents through it's related to this is technology or that's behavior. Sometimes they're not doing it. Okay, but you need to know where so you know how to talk to it.
Okay. Yeah.
And the power of working together. together? How do you start that collaboration? How do you build a relationship?
And what would that look like? I mean, would that be like a little brochure, or would it be?
I would like maybe a tip page. Okay, these are the things you want to do before you get into dispute resolution.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
That video part, I think it would be great to have it in Spanish as well.
Okay,
Or another language.
okay. Or another language. Any particular language? there's at least, what was that?
Arabic.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
I think let's go along with her suggestion. What parents need to know prior is a lot of parents don't actually understand the process, the IEP process. So, they don't understand the importance of why do I need to know the IEP and what the results say, and how does that, drive needs, and how does needs drive goals, and goals drive.
Okay.
That whole kind of something geared really towards parents in an abbreviated form that they can really understand.
Interesting.
Something called bad advice. Parents get a lot of bad advice about what to do in the negotiation, IEP, relationship building process, and then they run around following that advice for a couple of years before they figure out what to do.
So a don't do list. Top 10 don't do's. I like that.
What works, what doesn't? Your communication works.
Okay. All right, good. Anybody else?
A checklist, like just a checklist of questions to kind of go through. But I like that toolkit.
Yeah.
That could be part of the toolkit.
Okay. All right, good. Anybody else? Okay, good. We have all these things actually already. No, actually we have about half of these things already. And
I don't know
yeah.
where it goes, but when you sit in the process, it's overwhelming sometimes. The protocols, the number of pages, they kind of plow through it in a quick script. Just the parents write and say, could you understand that? Could you review that? The advocacy.
Okay.
Kind of like a list. I know that you said that most of your constituencies from LEA, but for instance, our really large school district, they have their own district facilitator or mediator. They call it a mediator. And so when I have parents say, I've already been to mediation, they really haven't been through the state's mediation. And so it's kind of like, this is an informal facilitator, and we kind of got off to where that, your title really doesn't represent, it's confusing parents. It's not that it doesn't represent what your purpose is as much as it's just confusing the process. Is there a way for you to maybe put an appendix of each district in the nation?
I love your sense of humor.
I mean, it varies from district to district, so each district I'm asking what's your, and the good news is that it has cut down significantly on their due process because you do have that interference with administrators before parents actually have to go through.
What school district?
259, Wichita.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Where is it at?
Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, Wichita. Okay, I got you. Okay. So let me just show you a few things on our website, okay, and also tell you about a few upcoming items, and I'll try to leave you some time.
Oh, it's all good. Informal sharing.
Yeah, so this is our website, and it took us a long time to go there, but we finally put a for family members link here. That's actually this link has probably only been here 6 months, 9 months at the most. The reason why it took us a long time to kind of go there finally is because we've always felt as though all of our information is for everybody. Even though we developed resources specifically for family members, really most relevant for family members, and we did that. Many of them we did sort of co-developed with the Alliance and some with NICHCY. We always just felt like everything was for everybody, and we didn't want to have sections. Well, this is for family members, and this is for educators, because in our mind that just perpetuated separatism. And CADRE is all about people working together. But we got some feedback and realized that, sort of there's a level there where people just need to be able to access information relevant to them quickly. So we finally did it. We finally we don't have for educators. We have just for family members. And if you click here, you'll find 9 items that are really targeted towards family members, and there's examples, there's copies out on the table out here, and so I encourage you, I know you're familiar with a lot of them, to go ahead and maybe grab 1 or 2. What happened? Oh, we're good. I still got it here. Go ahead and grab samples of that stuff. So the other thing is that we also have translated most of our family targeted resources into Spanish. And there's 6 or 7 examples or items in Spanish out there that I encourage you to take. We actually, some of you might be aware that we surveyed all the parent centers 2 years ago, so the first year of our refunding, and asked parent centers, what do you need? What can be helpful to you? And one of the questions in the survey was, what languages do you need, other languages do you need materials in? And unfortunately what happened is there was no language that stood out from any other. So Spanish, obviously there's a high demand for Spanish language documents, but after that, I mean, it's just all over the place. And so we are not translating anything into any other language because there really wasn't consensus around any particular language to do that. If there are strong language translation needs, we'll work with you, but we don't really have the financial capacity to just take a bunch of resources and translate them into 8 or 10 different languages or more. But we do know that there's a high demand for Spanish. So if you click here, you'll get a link of our Spanish language resources. So the other thing that emerged out of those focus groups that we did at all 6 regional parent center, parent PTAC meetings, and the survey that that you all completed is some other resources, and you kind of suggest, I think you had sort of alluded to them. So what we have right now is we have a dispute resolution comparison chart. It has IEP facilitation, mediation, written state complaints, due process hearings. Now there's some charts that are already out there. OSEP has their chart and other organizations have had theirs, but we're trying to create one that does a couple things. One, it's simple and very family friendly, and 2, it's actually going to be a dynamic chart, not just a piece of paper, but it'll be a piece of paper at some level, but it'll actually be on our website, and then on the bottom there'll be links. So how to prepare for mediation, you click on it. How to prepare for a facilitation meeting. You go into due process, what's the checklist of things I need to think about? So that comparison chart will take you to additional resources that are specific to the different processes that are available. Yeah.
Since you work with a lot of states as well as parent centers, do you have a list of criteria that a state can use to evaluate its own informal dispute resolution processes? For example, suppose you're doing facilitated IEPs in your state. There's a way of doing those that are very good for parents, and there's a way of doing those that are very intimidating for parents.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a criteria that I can look at as a state that says a good program or system should do these things, that I can self-assess against?
Okay, so that's a great question, and the answer to that is yes, sort of, although not specific criterion that we say these. We're close to that though, and I'll show you, I think what I'm talking about perhaps in a second. So anyway, so the comparison chart is actually, it's OSEP right in OSEP right now, and what we're really hoping for is that they don't vet it. Right? Because if they say it needs to be vetted, it'll never see the light of day. So, and because it's dealing with the law, even though we've went through great pains to avoid getting so interpretive of the law that we knew would end up needing to be vetted, because if that happens, we'll have to start over with the comparison chart. So that is a new resource that we hope to have coming out this year that's sort of a response to your desire for that kind of information. And again, the allied links, checklists, and some other things. We're actually probably going to be having some video links associated with that. So we're going to interview family members and educators and practitioners who've participated in all those, who've been through a facilitated IEP meeting, who've been through a mediation, who've been through a due process hearing. Not long videos, really short. I went to a due process hearing and this is what my experience was like. And not to portray any of those in necessarily super negative ways or super positive ways, but just to give real life experiences with attending to those processes, so that we know video is really hot now, and rich media is sort of all the rage for communicating information. So that's going to be part of that whole kind of system of how do you understand the differences between going to a facilitated IEP meeting and a mediation or a resolution meeting. So there was, some of you are probably familiar with this suite of resources right down here called Working Together. And what this resource is includes, there's a little intro video, that's Marshall, our director. And then there's these 3 building blocks, and with each of these 3 building blocks, there's about 8-minute flash video in English and in Spanish for these 2, only in English for A Tale of Two Conversations. So listening, sort of introduction to listening skills. We just posted, you can see here the link just beneath it, this banner. If you click on the banner, you'll have the listening and the interest videos in Spanish. They're about 8 minutes long. We redid the Spanish videos we translated them and then just we re-recorded. They're not live video, it's images and then narration. We re-recorded the narration with Spanish-speaking actresses and actors. So we encourage you to access those and show them to parents before they're going to have a meeting, an IEP meeting, or go to a more formal process like mediation or any kind of meeting setting. These 2 videos will be really helpful. Now, A Tale of Two Conversations is quite interesting. If you click on it, what you actually have here, and this was developed by our colleagues in the Office of Dispute Resolution in Pennsylvania, there's actually, and you can see the 2 photos here, there's actually a video of a really ugly, not ugly, but poor conversation between a special ed administrator and a parent. What we don't want conversations to look like. And then the other video is actually the exact same conversation, but them using good communication skills. Okay, and so these are, again, they're not real lengthy videos, but we also have a what's called a study guide that's associated with A Tale of Two Conversations that actually breaks down that conversation in really short video snippets and kind of breaks it down and explains what's happening here in their communication and what would be more effective. And so that's a resource that, again, you could use with family members or maybe even just in a staff training or that sort of thing. So this is this little suite of resources we encourage you to take a look at if you haven't at any point in time. Now I want to come back here to a second to this. So we were tasked, when we were refunded 2 years ago, we were tasked with identifying 4 state exemplary dispute resolution systems and what those look like. And the 4 states are Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Pennsylvania. And that's not to say that other states don't also have very good systems or these components of good systems, but for us, these 4 states are the best of the best. And for some same reasons and for some very different reasons. So there's some themes across those 4 states, and all 4 of those states' systems look very different. They are not cookie-cutter approaches to running a dispute resolution system. One of the themes, though, is strong stakeholder involvement. and early innovative dispute resolution activity. Out on the CADRE table, there's actually about a 11 to 12 page fairly detailed write-up of each of those 4 states and what their system looks like and what's different about it. We also here have some interviews of people from those state systems that run them, asking them some sort of pointed questions. But I want to go here I want to go to this resource showcase. This is something that that didn't exist in the world of dispute resolution until CADRE created it. I was actually just at an ABA meeting unveiling it to people who run court dispute resolution systems, and they there was a big sort of, wow, that's pretty amazing. So what this system has, it's a dynamic system. Here, probably many of you are familiar with the CADRE continuum of processes and practices. So what we have running across the top here is that sort of continuum with an addition of sort of system-wide everything in your dispute resolution system. Stakeholder training, parent engagement, early dispute resolution processes, facilitation, resolution meetings, mediation, complaints, and hearings. And then here, and this kind of goes back to your question, we help states, and it goes a little bit beneath this, we help states who want help organize their system into 4 functional areas. Oversight, which includes things like design, law, regulation, policy, stakeholder involvement, data tracking, and letters, communication, things like that. Then we have professional standards, both for people who work in the state agency as well as the people they hire or use, mediators, facilitators. We have awareness and outreach. So then we have that divided up into things like brochures and online stuff, fact sheets, and then guidelines, manuals, parent rights stuff, and then there's evaluation stuff here in the bottom. And so all of these items are actually items from states. We started initially with 4 states, and now we're expanding it beyond the 4 exemplar states, so that if a state is really interested in sort of redoing their mediation brochure, for example, they can go here to mediation and go to brochures and click on it, and there's 14 items there, and they'll get 14 different examples of brochures from all over the country. So there are hundreds of items in this resource database, and that we keep adding. But also to kind of go to your question about criterion, if you click on facilitation on this link, and you'll get a bit of a definition and a few examples of facilitation programs. And then on the bottom, this is not near probably what you're looking for, but here, and there's just 4 bullets here, features of a facilitation process that may contribute to the practice being effective. And so we have this, and then there's more bullets depending on the process. And so there's things here like long-term investment in the program. You know, if you're going to just sprinkle magic dust on it and hope for it to be successful, it's not going to work. Ongoing outreach to achieve system-wide awareness of the availability of the IEP facilitation program. Well-trained and experienced facilitators. So for each of those processes, we have some sort of criteria that minimally, if you want your facilitation program to be good, you've got to be doing these things. So that's getting at what you were asking me about. And then the same thing is actually true here. If you were to click over here, awareness and outreach. It's a little slow down here, the connection. There's a little bit, what do we mean by awareness outreach? And then again, right here are features of awareness and outreach efforts that may contribute to the practice being effective. A single point of entry for dispute resolution. One of the things that we talk to states about is how difficult it is for particularly family members to go to their state website and find useful information about dispute resolution. It's horrible, and it's free. You know, it doesn't really cost anything for you to put good information up on your website. It's not like you're printing and mailing out brochures and stuff. You don't really have a good excuse for not having a high quality website where families can find information easily about all of their options, etc. So again, this is kind of speaking to what you asked about. So CADRE is really sort of working hard to help improve state dispute resolution systems, and we've created this sort of model that is really pretty innovative. And again, we'll keep adding. We built this resource showcase to last for 20 years probably. We initially populated it with several hundred, and I imagine within maybe 4 or 5 years we'll have 700, 800 to 1,000 different items in there. There's examples of parent rights brochures or whatever. And,
In the interest of family-centered services, it's never going to be family-centered, but these criteria
Well, I mean, for us, it would be strong stakeholder involvement, it would be accessibility of information, etc. So, and then other people might have other notions as well. I mean, for us, the best systems are those that the people who actually use the system have a strong role in influencing it. So Wisconsin, for us, is probably the best example of a stakeholder-managed system where parent leaders are deeply involved with managing their dispute resolution system. So they're probably the best example, but I think Oklahoma and Iowa and to some extent Pennsylvania are good examples of those, and other states as well. So I like the top 10 don't do's. That's good. We have a lot of resources on here. I just encourage you to explore. The most popular item on our website that's downloaded is called Barriers to Effective Communication. It's not even a CADRE resource. It's just somebody else. It's like 2 pages, I think. And it gets downloaded thousands of times from our website every month. We get, on a slow month, about 35,000 document downloads from our website. So it's obviously more than the world of special ed is finding value with the CADRE website. If you are not familiar with steps to success, communicating with your child's school, that's sort of the top tips of how to collaborate, how to communicate. It's out there. It's in English and in Spanish. We did that with NICHCY a few years ago. It's very popular. It's downloaded as well thousands of times from our website every month. If you need any of our stuff, just call or email or fill out a contact form on our website. We will ship it to you for a training, or if you just need a back stock in your office. They're not. We didn't print them so they can sit on our shelves. We print them so you can get them into the hands of family members or educators or service providers, professionals, anybody you're working with. Questions, comments about CADRE? Anything at all? Yeah. Please.
Have procedural safeguards printed up in various languages?
No, we don't. Now, other, one place that you might look is the a sort of mega database that the National Technical Assistance Center, Michelle Rovin's shop, kind of helps manage. You might find things in there. It's sort of a big repository of information. I don't know if you all know what I'm talking about.
Is that the job of the local agency to do that?
See if I can find it.
The special ed.
Some of us have
Yeah, here it is.
translated through various languages. We did one there. Did that
Search various states to see if there's in the language that you're looking for, but it seemed like kind of a hard process for someone to do. I didn't know if there was some.
This is, I don't know if,
One thing might be, look at that Parent Center website.
which one?
That portal.
Okay. Yeah.
Bill, I wanted to make a comment
Please.
about CADRE, and the work you guys do in Texas. But the support they give us as parents. I've called and asked stuff that they've mentioned one of them that
Steps of success?
yeah.
Yeah.
I asked for that in a Word document so I could integrate it in several of our other documents,
Uh-huh.
just like that. It was wonderful, and I think
Welcome. That's what we're here for, to help you. You know, we're big fans of family members and educators resolving things early before things become protracted and tractable, and really in the end the person who's suffering is the child, right? Why the adults fight, you know, it's the kid that ends up suffering. So we're trying to keep adults from fighting, so to speak. And so there's a lot of innovative activity around the country in terms of early dispute resolution. We're really trying to shine a light on it. I should probably mention we're convening in October in Eugene the 5th National Symposium on Dispute Resolution and Special Education. It's the first time that Cadre's had a national meeting since 2006. So it's been a long time. A lot has happened in the world of special ed dispute resolution in the last 6 years. There'll be a number of your colleagues who will be part of the symposium faculty, so there'll be strong sort of parent leader presentation activity going on there, and hopefully we'll have our registration, our complete agenda and registration available in June, by the end of June hopefully, and we give a discount to parent center staff for attending to try to make it more affordable. Yeah.
So I just want to make a comment and then ask a question. I love the video clips. They're very powerful. I use them with parents to sort of, it's more powerful coming from, hearing other people than me saying it. And so they're very useful, and I hope that you continue to, bring new material or new video clips to use. And then my question, since you're talking about how the child is the person that's affected by all this going on, is there anything that speaks to that in your publications or materials right now, as far as, how we can focus more on, the child and helping the child, as opposed to,
I don't know if we have any publications that speak to that specifically. It's certainly part of our tagline, if you will. We do have one publication on the role of students in special ed mediation. We think far too often, particularly older students, get left out of that equation, and that really, to the extent possible, you should include the student in a mediation, just like you might in an IEP meeting or even a facilitated IEP meeting. There's no reason why a lot of students can't participate in a mediation. And so that publication speaks to the sort of the advantages and challenges of doing that, and there's some tips on how you might do that appropriately. But for us, unfortunately, the kids get out of. Again, it's like the parents get together and fight. And they might fight in mediation, they might fight in a hearing, but the kids get left out of it. And you bring a kid into a mediation and have them in the room, and I guarantee you, all the adults, thank you, they behave much better. They get much more cooperative and collaborative when the kid's there.
Well, I like that video that you were talking about earlier, how you demonstrate the communication where it's, you're not using,
The tale of two conversations, yeah.
And the other model, it'd be interesting to see the video of when, a team is sort of focusing on their interests or their wants,
Mhm.
the other one when they're focusing on the child's needs.
Right.
What's going to be beneficial to the child. So I think that visual would be powerful for
I'm making
schools,
notes.
for staff and for families too.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing webinars?
We do webinars. We just did. I actually just did a webinar with Carmen Sanchez and Melanie Musgrove and Kim Jones, who's the director of the PTI in Washington D.C. On parent resources. This is, by the way, the TA&D .org website that also has a lot of resources where you can, including links to all the federally funded centers. We're going to be doing some more webinars in the future. We're going to actually do one on the, we're having a national expert who's going to do a webinar on the role of apology, which we think will be very interesting and compelling for a wide range of folks. We're going to be doing some, not all the webinars we do may be of interest to you. I mean, we do webinars on data management, which I imagine most parent center staff want nothing to do with, for the most part. Although we know we have parent center staff who are watching, so to speak, because we see who's registered, but they're not really direct. They're really directed at people who are having to complete their annual performance reports and send them in, complete their Table 7 with all their dispute resolution data, and so these can be somewhat mundane to a lot of folks, but we review, there's 4 indicators related to dispute resolution: complaints on times, hearings on time, resolution agreement rate, and mediation agreement rate. And we read every single state's APR and at least a chapter related to those indicators, and then there's a summary, a national summary. We also, if you're not familiar, we have all of your state's data. You can go to our website and find it. The easiest way is probably just to type in your state name right here in this little search here, and it will take you to a page that has all of your state data, including several years worth now. We have a national longitudinal database that's been tracking mediation usage and hearings and complaints, and so we're starting to get a picture of national trends, but you can also see what's happening in your state if you're unfamiliar with how often people request mediation or go to a due process hearing. All of that information is available on your state, and we work pretty hard at cleaning it up to make sure that what we're posting on our website is accurate data.
Is there one particular issue that you see trending?
A big issue has to do with resolution meetings and how that's functioning and how to maybe make it better. Some of the issues related to it are a bit mundane. In other words, the timelines associated with it, particularly for states that that provide facilitators for resolution meetings, and not very many states do it, but we're seeing a trend. And we think the meeting will go a lot better if we can get a facilitator in there, but sometimes it takes more than 15 days to get the parents and the school folks and a facilitator in a room together. We can't, and if it's day 16, technically they are out of compliance with IDEA, and states have been written up on it.
For a facilitator, how much is it for a mediator?
Well, mediation doesn't have timelines associated with it in the way a resolution meeting does. I don't think I answered your question though, did I? But oh, I got you. What are the issues that are ending up in dispute? That are end up in hearings or complaints or whatever. I don't think anything is any different than what it's been for a long time. Placement is a big one and has been for a long time. Most states don't collect that data, unfortunately. We encourage them to do so, but they don't. The states that do collect it, the number 2 issue is certainly in mediation and has its communication relationship between the family and the school. Placement and then relationship issues, communication issues. So, but we're not seeing different stuff emerging. So, but unfortunately, most states don't really collect that.
When it comes time to rewrite, will you guys have any input into that rewriting?
Will we have any? Only if we're asked. We only get to provide input if we're asked. We were asked before about mandatory mediation. We gave input. So we'll see. We're happy to provide information. It tends to be neutral information. We don't tend to take a stance. So when Congress asked CADRE about mandatory mediation, we gave them information that these are the benefits of it, these are the challenges or limitations or problems associated with that kind of process. And as you know, there is no mandatory mediation, although there is a resolution meeting, which is a somewhat mandatory process if a due process hearing has been requested. Yeah.
Is there any type of
follow-up data on if a person goes through mediation, that the district actually honors the agreement and actually...
Yeah, that's so she's asking about the implementation of agreements, the durability of outcomes. It's a great question because we actually have an interest in the durability of outcomes, and not just from mediation, but from due process hearings and written state complaints. And so some states collect that, not nearly enough and not as well or as systematically as they should. It's a big question, and one of the things when I was sort of showing you the grid and all those management function areas, evaluation and stuff, is are you tracking implementation of outcomes? And again, not just agreements, but due process hearings, etc. And what does that look like? And do you have frequent flyers or people going to mediation and then getting agreements, but they're not being implemented, so they end up back in a hearing because the mediation in the end didn't get. So are you looking at that stuff? So was there another, I saw your hand, but was there another hand back there? No? Okay. Sure.
How should you work with states to evaluate where they're at with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we make it clear to states that just because people aren't using your different processes doesn't mean there's no conflict in your state. It may mean that people don't simply they're not aware of the options. That's that's a complex question. Every state's different. We work with all of them, and what New York needs is different than what Colorado needs, and which is different than what Alaska needs, which is different. So we have a process that we use when we sit down with states who want to take a systematic view of their dispute resolution system and get them sort of examine it and how it's functioning and what's working well and what's not working well. So we do have a process, and we're actually going to be implementing a new process for the next couple years, which is going to be actually bringing small groups of states together, 4 or 5 states together that want to work intensively on probably just one thing. So they may just want to, not enough people are using our mediation system, why, and what can we do to make it a more effective system, that kind of thing.
Well, if you get those groups going, can you insist that parent centers be a part of the group?
So whenever we work with states individually, I can't say that we insist. We encourage it. And in fact, in several of the states that we've worked with, part of the problem is stakeholder involvement or engagement was not there. And one state actually, within about 3 months of our on-site visit, created a subcommittee of their state advisory council, a subcommittee on dispute resolution chaired by a parent, to create a formal mechanism for examining their system and for parent stakeholder input. And they moved very quickly on that based upon our recommendation. So in terms of this other process, when we bring states together, we'll probably just bring one person from each state together and work with us on it. I'm going to have to think a little bit more, but we do encourage them to be involved with their parent centers and parent leaders and everything that they do. Right. Oh, I think you know, Larry, we're big proponents of parent leaders being involved with their dispute resolution system in any way possible. And again, I'll point to Wisconsin and Jan Sarek and some other states that have a long tradition of doing just that, and they really have what we think are sort of the exemplary systems. I think we hit midnight, didn't we? We're all going to turn into pumpkins soon. I took up all your time, which I know you're happy about.